Podcasting, streaming and user-generated content. I've done a few podcasts and also video podcasts. I've also streamed some of those live at the same time. User-generated content is just really difficult to do, but well, it's easy to do, but if you want to do it effectively, it's not so easy. But you've got to think about how you would use it. So when I've actually used podcasts to get people to know who I am or what my business is, again, you've got to kind of think outside of the box. So like interviews with people that are experts in a particular area, that's a fabulous one. What you've got to do with social media is give somebody a reason to actually pay attention to you. And podcasts can be a good way of doing that if you've got the right content. And when we heard, I guess it wasn't stated this way, but content is still king. So don't make a podcast that's crap just because you want to make a podcast. It's actually got to be worthwhile and important. It's the same as a blog, right? I mean, yes, okay, I could say there's probably a really good reason, there's several really good reasons why a blog by somebody who's been involved in politics about football isn't taking off. That's probably because he's not really the person people want to hear talking about football. You want to hear about politics from him. And secondly, you've got to be consistent. And that's the same with any of these things. Consistency, carry it on, make sure you keep it going. Streaming's really interesting and what you can do, but it's very niche at the moment. But streaming stuff on live, so if you're doing a video podcast or an audio podcast, why not stream it at the same time? And you can actually get interaction, whether it be through Twitter or through some of the platforms have their own messaging sort of tools that you can use. And it's almost like TV but real time, interactive television. It can be quite amazing if you do it right. Sorry, going through these really quick. Probably the major thing I want to mention, by the way, this whole presentation is on my blog. It already is, including the slides. Not that you really need those, but if I've missed anything, it's there, and you can also make comments and have conversations with me. But you can go there now. I put it up there this morning at about 8 o'clock. So if I miss anything, don't worry, it's all there. LinkedIn's probably the major social network that I want to mention. It's probably worthwhile everybody getting on it from a professional point of view. Facebook's really good for mates, but I don't know that there's a heap of stuff behind it other than the fact that it's great amongst friends. But saying that, as a company, you can do some amazing things on Facebook. But LinkedIn's worthwhile everybody jumping on as well. Microblogging, WTF, I don't even have a blog yet. Why the hell am I going to be doing something like Twitter? Microblogging is saying what you're kind of doing at the moment, but in 140 characters like Twitter. The beautiful thing about it is, though, you can have real-time conversations, and that's kind of, what has occurred out of it. You can do it from a mobile phone, you can do it online, you can do it wherever you are. And again, you can keep an eye on these things with search and, people having conversations. Good example recently is Big Pond. Does anyone here work with or for Telstra? Good. I hate Telstra. They suck. But they happen to have done a fairly decent, I don't know, the jury's still out, job of working with Twitter recently. They've just jumped on it, and the Big Pond team have actually a Twitter account. And it's quite an interesting, informative account if you keep an eye on it, but they also do interaction. It can kind of sometimes bleed into sales pitches here and there, so a little bit worried about that. But in general, they've done a good job, and I think it's worthwhile. A lot of companies actually having a look at it, and everybody has one. I mean, even 10 Downing Street has a Twitter account. I haven't paid much attention to it recently, but I know several months back it was quite active in telling you, where the Prime Minister was going to be and what he was doing on a particular day. So, it's interesting to see where people have come from with respect to using Twitter. There's a whole bunch of different ones. There's the Flickr, you probably can't read it up there, but again, it's in my presentation on the blog. There's too many for me to go through, but there are different ways of using them. Flickr's a really interesting one to use. You know, if I go to a conference, and again, it's easy for me, but if I go to a conference and it's usually around technology, I take photos, I put them on Flickr, and I'm working with people through Flickr. There's also a really good, these guys, they do laser etching on the front of moleskins, and they've got a Flickr page, and you can go there and have a look at the process that they use, and also the new designs that they're coming up with, and some really interesting art. But there's different ways of using some of these social networks. You know, it's not all about blogging and podcasting and stuff like that. And wikis. Imagine what a government department could do if they opened up a wiki and let the community or the public actually edit the wiki for them. Scary, yeah, I know, but literally something amazing could happen from it. And the other point I want to make is you can't replace face-to-face. So I'm not getting up here trying to tell you that, you know, it's the end of the world as we know it, and that the only way to do things now is through social media. That's not true. Imagine if we didn't have relationships that weren't online. The world would probably be a pretty damn boring place. And of course, rule number one, authenticity, transparency. You know, I think it's sort of almost hand in hand. You've got to be yourself. And again, you know, I heard some statements next door. I think the major one I wrote down was, people don't believe what a company says. That's right, because people don't want to listen to companies, they want to listen to people. So if you're speaking from the heart, if a person is speaking, then you'll listen. Of course you're not going to listen to a company. Companies don't have a voice. Companies can't speak. So, and there's all my contact details. And if not, you can grab me afterwards. Do you want to?
Thank you. Does anyone have one quick question for Richard? Just one at this stage.
You mentioned we were doing some great, very exciting things on Facebook, and what brands do you admire, you know, behaving well on the Facebook space?
And they're all probably going to be geeky IT ones.
Non-geeky.
Non-geeky.
They're doing anything exciting on Facebook that you think is inspiring?
You put me on the spot now. Yeah, can I get back to you? I'll have a think about it. Because, I mean, yeah, literally all I do is, I'm a geek, so I pay attention to IT. But I'll think about it and let you know. Do we want to take another one instead? Or?
Do you consider instant messaging, like MSN, social media?
Yeah. I mean, I use it a little bit. I mean, Twitter has kind of almost replaced it to some degree. In some cases, Twitter's replaced email and blogs. Yeah, I do. It's probably the one that I do the least because you can get interrupted quite a bit. So it's probably the most difficult to manage. So I'm always set away, even when I'm there. So that gives me the choice of either taking, you know, an IM and leaving it till later, or having a conversation straight then and there. And it kind of, I guess, depends on who's interrupting me and how much time I've got and how long I think they'll take. But yeah, I'd say it would be.
It's quite funny because that's actually one of the most used chain.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Twitter's not really.
Is it Baidu? What's the major one there? Yeah. But I mean, you know, China's a. Talk for hours about China.
Okay, so have we challenged anybody's thinking yet? Have we made you perhaps look at some of the issues a bit differently? Because this is the chance where you guys have to work for your lunch, I'm sorry. Can I please ask everybody just to gather into groups of about 6 or 8? Now, yep, men's getting up. Finding a space. Thank you.